Hey everyone, my name is Michael Coker. I'm the mayor of the City of Mulberry, and today we're going to be talking about the community development plan for the City of Mulberry. And you may not know what that is, but it's pretty important and you're going to want to know, so stay tuned. So, the Community Development Plan is a document or a series of documents that every city creates and sends to the Department of Community Affairs. So, the Department of Community Affairs is a state agency, it's a state organization that basically links the state government with all of the local governments, the counties and the cities. And one of the things that the Department of Community Affairs does is they require each city to basically send what's called a comprehensive plan or a community development plan, where they are going to ask us to basically give them an assessment of what our vision is for Mulberry. It's a discussion. And it's not necessarily something that the mayor says. It's not necessarily something that the council says. It's what you as the community want it to be. And so this is something that Mulberry is currently working on. We're working on that comprehensive plan to determine, well, what do we want Mulberry to look like in 5 years? What do we want Mulberry to look like in 10 years? And I know we all have ideas and thoughts about what we think that should look like. And so over the next month and a half to 2 months, this is a very important piece of what we're going to do as part of the local government is we're going to have these discussions. There's going to be public meetings where members of the public can come and we can talk about it and they can give us their opinions of what they think Mulberry should look like. What ideas do you have? Where do you think the development should go? Should Mulberry have a downtown? Should there be other items or other things that we should consider? All of these items go into your comprehensive plan or your community development plan. And when you look at other cities, this is usually a big document that has a lot of various items in it. One of the major items that's in there is kind of where do you want your city center? Some cities have what's called a downtown development authority, and that's an area where they've determined that's going to be the city's downtown. That's going to be the area where they're going to continue to put shops and restaurants and those kind of items. So do we want Mulberry to have a downtown development authority? Do we want there to be a downtown Mulberry? These are all things that we need your input on, that we need to hear from you and your ideas. Do you want restaurants? Do you want a town green? Do you want a place where we can have concerts? These are all things about long term that we need to look at as a city and determine what do we want. You know, you look at some of the other cities in Gwinnett that have done a phenomenal job with their cities, completely revitalizing their city, making kind of a commercial center, making a spot where you could bring in nice restaurants, hotels, basically places where the community can get together and have events. And so these are all things that we'll have to consider. So do we want a downtown? Do we want that kind of downtown development authority type look of a certain area of the city? Where do we want it to be? I mean, these are all the type of discussions that we need to have. The second big part of a comprehensive plan is a transportation plan, right? Is to make sure that the infrastructure, that the roads, the bridges can keep up. And that's another major reason that the city of Mulberry was created. As many of you know, the city of Mulberry was basically the brainchild of a bunch of residents of Mulberry who were frustrated with the overcrowding in the schools and some of the traffic that we face on a day-to-day basis. And so these were various items that we also will need to look at and will need to consider when we're creating that plan for DCA. And so these are all aspects that will go into that plan. Other items as well, too. What do we want our architectural standards to look like? Do we want our houses to have a certain type of shingle or a certain type of siding? What are the various aspects of, developments that we want? Do we want it to look, areas to look historical? Do we want it to look new and modern? These are all aspects that will kind of go into this plan. And so over the next few weeks, you're probably going to hear from us that there's going to be these public events, and generally they're held at churches or city hall or various areas around town, and we'll keep you posted. Follow us on Facebook and you can basically figure out exactly where they're going to be. But we're going to set up a time where we're going to come and speak with members of the community, see what they want, see what your requests are, what part, and what may be good for one section of Mulberry might not be good for another. And so we want you to come and give your feedback and to talk about your area of Mulberry and the character of the area versus maybe other parts and what other parts will look like. And so that's a very important way that you can get involved and you can have a say in how to kind of put your handprint and your fingerprint on the future of this city. Because again, your 5 city council members, we can't do it all by ourselves. We want your help. We have had great community support. We've had great volunteers that have offered their time and their efforts to bless the city with their talents in ways that they could. But we want that continued input. We want you because, again, we may have individuals in the Seconder cluster that maybe they feel like the northern part of Mulberry, Districts 1, and then my district in District 2, they may want it to look one way. Maybe they want it to look more equestrian or more commercial. I mean, that's their decision. And then what may be different for Districts 3, 4, and 5. And so we want every district to be a part of this discussion and to tell us kind of what you want our community development plan to look like. Because this community development plan is going to basically govern what the best next 5, 10, even 20 years look like. Because we're going to map it out. We're going to say, hey, this is our goal. This is what we want our zoning map to look like. This is where we want our, downtown to look like. This is what we want our city hall and government buildings to be and to look like. And so these are all kind of aspirational things that we're going to look forward to the future. We're going to say, hey, these are items that we want to consider and we want to be part of this city. And so we've had some great input already. We've had some people that have given us their input of their thoughts of what they think the city should look like. But I encourage you as well to get involved. I mean, this is absolutely an area that you can give your 2 cents. And one of the biggest things that we're looking for is if you're somebody who already has maybe some existing knowledge, maybe you have some engineering knowledge, maybe you're a former city employee at a different city, maybe you're a builder and you understand architectural standards and what the highest quality homes look like, then we could definitely use your help. We could definitely use your input, use your advice of what you believe Mulberry should look like in these particular areas. And again, even if maybe you don't have a building background or maybe you don't fit into one of these categories we talked about, this is still your home too, and we want you to also be involved and to have a say. And so that's a comprehensive plan, and that's kind of what we're going to be working on over the next month and a half or 2 months. DCA has asked us to give us the first version of that comprehensive plan by the end of June. And so we've been working with them, talking with them about the process. Obviously, they know we're a new city, and so they're agreeing to work with us and to help us in any way that they can. But the comprehensive plan is an important piece and an important tool for us to kind of talk about moving forward. So things like building standards, transportation, future maps, all these things are important. One other aspect of the comprehensive plan that we haven't already talked about is the annexations into the city of Mulberry. So there was a bill that passed the Georgia legislature that involves certain parcels that were going to be annexed into the city. These are all parts that part of the city where maybe the city was incorporated on one side of the roadway, but not the other. And so the idea being is that we would pull in from across the street these mainly commercial parcels, or we call them commercial nodes, but these kind of city centers that we wanted part of the city, that we wanted to have control over, that we wanted to pull into that comprehensive plan, because we didn't want our plan on one side of the road to reflect one way, but then when you went to the other side of the road, it looked completely different. So most of these annexation pieces were large parcels, maybe undeveloped parcels that could be developed someday, or 2, they were commercial centers that were basically going to be pulled in. And so what commercial centers am I talking about? Well, just to give you kind of the main ones, starting at the top. So if you know where the Kroger is on Ridge Road, that's kind of that first node that I'm talking about, where Mulberry was on one side but not on the other, kind of pulls in a lot of those lots over there. The second is the Walmart on Sardis Church Road and kind of all that surrounding areas. That is also part of the annexation. Then when you cross over the interstate, some of the big parcels of land that are across the street on 124. Basically, there was some large undeveloped parcels kind of near Hamilton Mill. We wanted those to be part of the city. Then kind of moving down, if you look at, there was some parcels, the other Kroger, the Braselton Highway Kroger, as well as some of those parcels in that particular area. Moving towards Dacula, the old Ingalls, which is now they are building that new exercise center. That was part of the annexation, as well as some additional big undeveloped parcels kind of at the far south end of the city, as well as the far north end off Thompson Mill Road and kind of that area. So those annexations are going to be an important piece, right? Because we're going to have to also bring those into the comprehensive plan and make them a part of our overall vision for the city. And so all these things are going to have to tie in. All these things are going to have be cohesive and kind of give that vision of what we want. And so I would encourage you, if you have another city that you think is doing a great job, that would be great, of like, hey, I love what they're doing at Duluth, or I love what they've done at Suwanee. We want that input. And so I would encourage you to attend those meetings, to give your input, and to let's talk about what the future of Mulberry looks like. Because when we all work together, Mulberry can be the very best that it can be. And the only way that's going to happen is if we come together as a community, just like we did when this city was formed, and come together with a vision of what we want this city to look like in 5, 10, even 20 years. Think about your children. Think about your grandchildren. What do we want Mulberry to be for them? And those are the questions we want you to ask yourself, and we want you to think about and give us your feedback on, because these are all important things to determine what this city is going to look like in the future. So that's a basic explanation of what a comprehensive or community development plan looks like, so you can understand what we're doing behind the scenes to go ahead and present this to the state of Georgia of what we want our city to be, what we want our city to look like in the future. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you like getting these updates, if you like hearing more about the city, understanding what's going on behind the scenes, please feel free to reach out, but also like and subscribe this podcast. I'm going to continue to try to come out with these as frequently as possible, so you can basically have a good idea of what's going on at City Hall, what's going on behind the scenes, and how can you get involved and stay informed. And so, as always, I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for taking the time to support us at the City of Mulberry, and we'll see you next time.